Okay, today we're taking a look at hammer-ons and pull-offs, trying to build a better technical ability to get a nice clear sound out of the second note of both of those techniques, the hammer-on and the pull-off. We're doing a number of different little progressions where we incorporate them, kind of bake them into a chord. And at the end of the lesson where we worked on this, we were talking about drills we could do that are more melodic, more individual, and certainly don't sound as good, but really help build a skill at hammering on and pulling off each of the different fingers. So we're going to start at that point where we actually ended the lesson with the warm-ups that start on the 5th fret, starting on the 6th string at the top, and we are in hammer-ons. We're going to do pick the first finger on the 5th fret of the 6th string, and then hammer on the 2nd finger. Then we're going to pick the 2nd finger, hammer on the 3rd finger, pick the 3rd finger, hammer on the 4th finger, then move to the 5th string, 1st finger, hammer on the 2nd finger, pick the 2nd finger, hammer on the 3rd finger, and pick the 3rd finger, hammer on the 4th finger. 4th string, hammer on the 2nd, pick the 2nd, hammer on the 3rd, pick the 3rd, hammer on the 4th, 3rd string, hammer on the 2nd, pick the 2nd, hammer on the 3rd, pick the 3rd, hammer on the 4th, pick the 1st on the 2nd string from the bottom, pick the 1st, hammer on the 2nd, pick the 2nd, hammer on the 3rd, pick the 3rd, hammer on the 4th, and 1st string, pick the 1st, hammer on the 2nd, pick the 2nd, hammer on the 3rd, and pick the 3rd, hammer on the 4th. And then we do the 2nd string, pick the 1st finger, hammer on the 2nd, pick the 2nd, hammer on the 3rd, pick the 3rd, hammer on the 4th, 3rd string, pick the 1st, hammer on the 2nd, hammer on the 3rd, hammer on the 4th, pick the 1st, hammer on the 2nd, pick the 2nd, hammer on the 3rd, pick the 3rd, hammer on the 4th, 5th string, pick the 1st, hammer on the 2nd, pick the 2nd, hammer on the 3rd, pick the 3rd, hammer on the 4th, and on the 6th string, pick the 1st, hammer on the 2nd, pick the 2nd, hammer on the 3rd, and pick the 3rd, hammer on the 4th. So that, in a faster version of that drill, will look like this. That's hammer-ons. For pull-offs, we're going to start on the 6th string again, and we're going to start with all the fingers on. 1, 2, 3, and 4, up from the 5th fret, up to 8th fret, and then we're going to pull off by pulling down. We kind of pluck the string as we go by. 4th finger pulling off to the 3rd finger, 3rd finger pulling off to the 2nd finger, and 2nd finger pulling off to the 1st finger. Then 5th string, baby finger pulling off to the 3rd, 3rd pulling off to the 2nd, 2nd pulling off to the 1st, all the fingers down on the 4th string, 3rd baby finger pulling off to the 3rd finger, 3rd finger pulling off to the 2nd, 3rd to the 1st, 3rd string, baby finger pulling off to the 3rd, 3rd pulling off to the 2nd, 2nd pulling off to the 1st, 2nd string, baby finger pulling off to the 3rd, 3rd pulling off to the 2nd, 2nd pulling off to the 1st, and then 1st string, baby finger pulling off to the 3rd, 3rd pulling off to the 2nd, 2nd pulling off to the 1st. Then we move back to the 2nd string, 4 down to 3, 3rd finger down to 2, 2 down to 1, 4 to 3, 3 to 2, 2 to 1, 4th finger to the 3rd finger, 3rd finger to the 2nd finger, 2nd finger to the 1st finger, 5th string, 4th to the 3rd, 3rd to the 2nd, 2nd to the 1st, and then 6th string, 4 to the 3rd, 3rd to the 2nd, 2nd to the 1st. So that looked like this. And so I just got to get my timer off. There we go. like that. In terms of chord drills, we started off with a D chord. That would be this D chord. And then we did a drill where we take that first finger and hammer it on. So we strum it and use the finger to hammer on that second fret of the third string. Then we can move it up one string, and then we can move it up to the second string, and then back to the fourth string, and then back down to the third string. So that will look like this. Incorporated into a strum, that's what it'll sound like. Second fret of the third string, second fret of the fourth string, second fret of the fifth string, second fret of the fourth string, and around and around and around. So that's that first one. That's D suspended fourth to D, D to D with E in the bass, and D with D to B in the bass, etc., etc. Okay, so for the second set, where we have the first, we make a D, and this first string, second finger comes off and gets hammered on. So that's going to look like this. Open to the second finger landing on the second fret of the first string. We can kind of incorporate it with ones that we strum, or just like that. That's the D suspended second to the D. And then we also have this one where we have our baby finger, where we're going to make a regular D chord and then hammer that baby finger onto the third fret of the first string. We also had a C chord where we hammer the third finger onto the third fret of the fifth string. We also have now some pull-offs. So this one would be the D, then we take the baby finger, put it on the third fret of the first string, and then we pull it off like that. We're pulling down, so we get a pluck out of that. Then we have the D to the D sus2. That's the second finger pulling off from the second fret of the first string. Then we have this progression, where we have the third finger on the third fret of the second string, and we're going to go third finger on the third fret of the fourth string, second finger on the third fret of the fourth string, down to the first fret. We have the second finger on the third fret of the fourth string to the first finger on the second fret of the fourth string, and we're going to pull off like that, and then that first finger is going to pull off to the open, and then we're going to do the same thing on the fifth string, second finger on the third fret of the fifth string, first finger on the second fret of the fifth string, and end up on D. So that's going to sound like the D. It's a good technical challenge for sure. Okay, enjoy.